All right, my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we are talking about the next generation of AMD's Radeon RDNA 4 GPUs, the 9070 XT. Thank you, XFX, for sending this out. Very appreciated. I greatly appreciate this. So let's talk about this for a minute. So XFX did send out the Magnetic Air, the top-of-the-line card that they sell. It boosts over 3100 gigahertz or megahertz or whatever it is, 340-watt power, straight out of the box, already overclocked everything. Obviously, you've got some leeway to do more overclock and stuff like that. So all in all, the aesthetic of this card, absolutely beautiful. This was the card that I wanted the most out of everything that I saw. So I'm very grateful to XFX for providing this to the channel. Absolutely incredible. Didn't even expect that, just freaking happened. So I was like, wow, absolutely. I would be honored to cover XFX. That's the brand I've been using since I switched over to Radeon from NVIDIA. So very cool, very cool. But I have, for the last little while, been hyping up RDNA 4 like no other. I have been on the front lines. I've been like, getting people hyped for AMD. And so you want to know if that's true. And I 100% believe that is very fair. I should be able to articulate why RDNA 4 is great, especially now after having access to it. But I'm not gonna fill you with fluff or anything like that. So as you know, I had the AMD XFX Mercury 7900 XTX as my main daily driver. So I mean, this was the top of the line AMD card that you can get, and that thing was had me more than satisfied. I was like, absolutely, I love this experience. So guys, we're gonna take a look at some stuff from the 9070 XT. These are games that I actively play. I've run a couple of benchmarks for you, and just so that I can kind of give you a general feeling about how I'm feeling about this new card. So guys, when it comes to games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, both of these games are still right at 100 frames-ish a second. Obviously they can go down into the 80s now, but overall, in my opinion, still very good. Definitely lacks that extra oomph that the 7900 XTX has for pushing some of these games a little bit harder. But where this card really does benefit is in games like Star Wars Outlaws, where the ray tracing performance is just so much better, like 50% better than the RDNA 3 cards that I see. Like this card, this is where this thing really starts to come alive a little bit, because even though I was still able to hit the higher frames on the 7900 XTX, we're using frame generation, and then stacking that with AMD's fluid motion frames too. With the new card, all you need is the regular frame generation, and it boosts these otherwise these ray tracing titles even more. So when I'm looking at this experience, okay guys, and you have to look at your particular situation, what's going to be good for you, because I got a lot of people in my DMs in the community wanting to know if switching from a 7900 XTX to a 9070 is actually, or 9070 XT is actually going to be beneficial for them. And in some ways, yes, you're going to have lower power draw, you're going to have a lot more performance when it comes to obviously ray tracing titles, and you are going to actually see a massive benefit in FSR4 utilizing that upscaling in a lot of these games. You're going to be quite surprised at just how good FSR4 really is, even compared to DLSS 4. Yeah, I said that. Even compared to DLSS 4, it holds its own, and it's good. It's you're zooming in really far to see a massive difference between FSR 4 and DLSS 4. That's how far It's not like I just want to say that it's good. It's so good that it's like, wow, I can't believe this is their first iteration after seeing how many generations of DLSS it took to get to DLSS 4 for AMD to come right out and be dang near neck and neck with with DLSS 4. That's like, okay, cool. I'm very grateful that I stood my ground and told people like, yeah, dude, AMD is worth your time and effort. You're right. It did take them a while to get here. It did. But the thing is like FSR3. So here's the thing, and this is what makes AMD a little bit more special in my opinion, is AMD's still supporting like their RDNA 1 cards, RDNA 2, RDNA 3, RDNA 4. Obviously, they're still trying to make, so like when people are on a 5700 XT, they can still utilize RDNA or FSR3. They can still use FSR2. So I get that whole point of things of like why AMD was like, taking it slower or whatever. And, we're at a point right now where I absolutely hope that FSR4 comes to RDNA 3, because that generation should have the necessary AI accelerators to be able to handle this. And they can't try to tell me that it's not possible, because if it works on a PlayStation 5 Pro at 300 tops, I guarantee that FSR4 is going to be able to work on freaking on the RDNA 3 card. So that's just a matter of time. Like I'm 100% committed to like that's the case. Like it will come to RDNA 3. RDNA 2, that one there is the more the more tricky thing, because RDNA 2 is more in line with PlayStation 5 Pro, at least in terms of like how the overall structure is for the base. Like they're both based off RDNA 2. So PS5 Pro having the base of RDNA 2 should translate over to being able to utilize some form of FSR4 on the 6000 series. So I would absolutely love to see AMD be able to hold on to that thing that makes AMD special in my mind, is that enhanced backwards compatibility for their older generations of cards. Now, RDNA 1, I don't know if that is even possible, but maybe like a software form of FSR4 would be awesome. Just depending on how big of a struggle it is to get it to work on RDNA 2. But the quicker AMD can make that happen for that level of customers, I think that would absolutely help boost Radeon brand image further than anything has to date. Now, as you guys know, over the time since I've started this channel, I have been pretty hard on upscalers. I have. I just don't. I just didn't feel like they were. I just didn't feel like they should have been a selling point for GPUs. I felt like, you want your pure rasterized power, and obviously AMD agreed with that all the way up till now. They agreed that like, hey man, we need that rasterized power. But I think NVIDIA and AMD have both kind of realized that like, look, we can do more with less. But the funny thing is like, being able to translate that into a marketable product that not only feels fair for the people buying it, but also creates and generates enough revenue for AMD and for NVIDIA to be able to continue to invest in these. That's a very tricky situation that I think both of these manufacturers are finding themselves in. Is how do they balance being able to provide a product that's going to deliver good enough performance on, like the older stuff, like, and that's why you guys are seeing some like Assassin's Creed and some Valhalla in here, because this is a very tight rope that I think AMD is trying to walk with the new prices that are out right now for RDNA 4. We're seeing these cards up to and above $800. So in my mind, these cards need to perform at least at a solid experience for them older games, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. These games are pre-FSR, well, actually Valhalla has a form of FSR, but Odyssey, these games are upscalers. So when you're looking at that and you take that into consideration, as long as those types of games can hit high FPS on the new hardware, and it seems like we're getting a generational lift up and above what would have been that price point before, then I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that. I feel like that there in my mind is the threshold that both AMD and NVIDIA need to hit to be able to convince people that, like, look, these software upgrades that we're using to gain performance going forward are worth your time. They're good enough to give you the experience that you're wanting on a 4K display, but we can bring you that at a lower price, but your rasterized power isn't, you're going to have to rely on upscaling and frame generation and stuff like that going forward. So it's a very, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, to be completely honest with you. I would not want to be in their shoes, especially where we're seeing kind of the price range fall especially on the NVIDIA side. A little bit less so on the AMD side, because we are seeing something that, in my mind, after spending this much time with the RDNA 4 card with the 9070 XT, in my mind, I think AMD has threaded that needle price to performance pretty close, to be completely honest with you. I still think that they could have. I still kind of feel like 650 would have been okay for a 9070 XT, and 550 for a 9070. But they decided to give you that $50 of discount on the 9070 XT, which kind of makes it look a little bit odd for the 9070. I'm not even going to lie there. But going forward, I feel like that price point that the AMD set for this threaded the needle pretty well. NVIDIA is a little bit different. Like, obviously, you're still paying for like the CUDA and all of all the workplace features for the NVIDIA. If NVIDIA could have brought this in at 656, for the 5070 Ti, I think we would have a very strong battle for supremacy from AMD and NVIDIA this generation, because I feel like AMD's caught up, at least to a point where you can play these games with ray tracing in a playable state that, like, is more than sufficient, whereas NVIDIA is just slightly better in some aspects when it comes to the ray tracing. But now you could essentially say that upscaling is pretty much on par. When you look at what DLSS 4 does versus what FSR 4 does, there's really absolutely, like, you're zooming in a lot to try to see a difference. But NVIDIA still kind of has that edge, just due to the fact that there's significantly more games out there that already have DLSS in them. AMD has a lot of FSR games, but it's split between so many different generations that if they all could, like, come together, I think they would be pretty much on par, to be completely honest with you. And that's where I want to talk about this point right here, because even FSR 3 games that don't convert to FSR 4 yet, even I'm seeing a image quality stabilization on those games as well. As you'll notice while we're playing some Star Wars Outlaws in this, you'll notice that there is less of a blur in the overall image quality, and there's more. There's less of the trails and like ghosting and all of that kind of stuff as well. Like, it does clean the image quality up even more to kind of add to that overall immersion for this type of game. So with FSR 4, guys, I really have, or not FSR 4, but RDNA 4, I've been hyping this up for a while now. I've been hyping this up and getting, people kind of, ready for it and stuff, looking at like some of the stuff that we've seen from, just the FSR 4, from people filming the screen and stuff. With that, all we really had to go on. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like my hype is justified, definitely. I do kind of feel like, because I get a lot of people asking about 7900 XTX going down to, like the 9070 XT, because I mean, this is the card that I've been rocking for a while now, and this is my 7900 XTX. from XFX, and this card is such a robust beast with 24 gigs of RAM and stuff. And okay, here's the thing, guys. Like, I have a certain threshold for where games feel good to me. Obviously, the 9070 on a 3440 by 1440p monitor, absolutely incredible. I don't, like you will kind of notice if you've got a frame counter on, like you will notice, but if you don't have a frame counter on, I don't think you're gonna notice. I don't think you would notice. So if you want the new features, this is my thing. If you want the new features like FSR4 and the AI and all of that stuff right now, better ray tracing, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to a point where it's like the cards are reasonably priced to where, yeah, you could get it, but I think I would only recommend that if you have the ability to do that. Like if you've got the ability to have both cards, like you don't need to sell off one to get the other one. I definitely don't think I would recommend selling my 7900 XTX to buy the 9070 XT. I don't think I would recommend that, but if you have the ability to buy and have both, cool, you know? But then again, that doesn't make sense. Like if you're completely happy with, you know, with the 9070 after you get it, the 9070 XT, then maybe you could sell it off if it meets your threshold for games going forward. That's what I'm saying. I do think it is very performant. It is pretty dang close to 7900 XTX on a lot of games. There's actually some stuff that it actually beats it in, but then you can definitely tell for the most part that the 7900 XTX is still going to be the more performant card. It's got a wider bus, it's got more VRAM. I don't know. That's a hard decision to make, man. Like me personally, this is my honest opinion. I would not sell my 7900 XTX to trade for the 9070 XT. But I am perfectly satisfied with the performance that I'm receiving from the 9070 XT. Does that make sense? I am perfectly happy with how the system feels now with a 9070 XT in it. Like, I'm not skipping a beat, if that makes any sense to you at all. Yes, you will notice a difference, but it's not a big enough difference. It's not a big enough difference to where you're going to be like, oh man, that frog guy made me sell my 7900 XTX and now I got this. It's not that huge of a difference in terms of, like, some games you'll notice it, some games you won't. If that makes sense. I personally, yeah, it feels the same. And it's even that way on the 5070 XT or the 5070 Ti. I put that in there and I'm playing the games and I'm like, yeah, I notice a little bit of a difference, but it's not so big that I couldn't. For me, it's not so big of a difference that I can't downgrade to the 5070 Ti and the 9070 XT and still have the experience that I want to have this generation. I hope that makes sense. Because these two cards are a lot more on par. Then yeah, like this is crazy. So I'm going to get you guys a bunch of other content today. I'm going to be working on some side-by-sides with the 5070 Ti. I'm going to be working on some more FSR4 content, but I just wanted to get this out as like that general, like, look guys, this I've hyped this in RDNA 4 up, and I think it has exceeded my expectations. To be completely honest with you, we're looking at 64 CUs. We're looking at better ray tracing performance. We're looking at 16 gigs of VRAM. We're looking at a pretty dang decent price overall. You start getting into some of the more pricey AIBs that can overclock harder and all of that stuff. You're going to pay more money for that. You are. Like, I don't even know why we have to keep talking about this. I get it. The old days were incredible. Prices were, you could build this and that, and I get it, guys, but those days are clearly long gone. And they're not going to listen to me. Even if I tell them, hey guys, you need to make, if they wouldn't listen to the arrogant guy, why would they listen to me? He's got over 1 million subscribers. I got like 13,000-ish. You know what I mean? Like, why are they going to listen to me? Like I said personally, okay? And this is me. And all of our situations are quite different. I would have, had an XFX not sent this to me, I would have bought the same card for the same price that it was on sale for everybody else. I would have paid my $850 for it, $900 plus after tax. I would have paid that because I wanted this card. I wanted it, so I would have bought it. No questions asked. And now when I get home and I'm looking at that, and this is how I justify this, K2, this card performs on par or slightly better than my 5070 Ti that I paid $1,000 for. I personally, I don't have that like little weird mind virus that everybody else has that like, oh my gosh, NVIDIA is the best, it's worth the money. AMD is trash, it's not worth the money. I don't suffer from that. I suffer from, dang, this card's as good as that card. This card is worth that same. I see it completely different, guys. You guys see AMD as like the underdog or not good enough. I don't have that issue. Like, I don't have that issue with AMD. From the moment I put that 7900 XT in my PC, that evaporated very quickly because I was like, wow, this is way better. I love this way more. You know what I mean? Like, face it, I am an AMD fan. I am. I absolutely love AMD and I want them to succeed. You may call me a shill, but I'm an honest shill. At least I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, this is just better just by like speaking like it's fact. No. Clearly, if NVIDIA was better for me, I would have NVIDIA. A lot of people are going to look at it and see it the same way I do too. You're going to have both. You're going to try both, and you're going to say, hey, wait, AMD Radeon is just as good and has actually more usable features you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are going to see things the way I see once they try Radeon. They're not everybody's going to stay in that little, oh my gosh, NVIDIA is better. Come on, guys. That's like a popular thought thing. Like, I get it. It works on most people. Most people just don't even care. Most people are, you know, it's splitting hairs with most people because they're just going to love the first thing that they get and the first thing they get comfortable using. Boom, that's their baby. They don't care. Like, most people do not like change. They abhor it and don't want nothing to do with it. And that's why when I say, like, look, man, Radeon is really easy to learn. Really easy. I was like, wow, I was just blown away. Like, it made PC gaming significantly better for me. So yeah, I'm an AMD fan. I'm going to promote AMD on this channel. Like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to just sit and bash and trash NVIDIA, because we all know that NVIDIA makes a good product too. Like I just got done saying, I don't see a big gap between the difference in price parity for these things. I'm willing to pay the same amount of money for an AMD GPU as I am for an NVIDIA GPU. So yeah, I'm perfectly satisfied with the experience that I have for both of these. So yeah, guys, I'm greatly appreciated for, you know, AMD actually providing the GPU this generation. That's awesome. Obviously, you can tell they're being more aggressive. They want to gain market share. They want to be able to have people out there covering their content, covering their product. That's incredible. That's what they should do. They should be giving more content creators that are positive about AMD the ability to show off AMD, you know, and I mean, yeah, it's marketing. It's part of the marketing budget. They should do that, you know. Give it to people that are positive about it. They want to, because here's the thing: if you're positive about it, then you can teach other people about it, and then they can see, and you can show them the difference. And then when they get it, then they can decide for themselves. But for the most part, if you have more people out there being positive, that kind of starts to help change the mindset of people. Because I think people get in this rut that they just think NVIDIA is the best, and then they're willing to spend the max money that they have to buy an NVIDIA product. And that might not always deliver the best experience, especially when there might be a Radeon experience that offers more VRAM, that has a better cooling solution, that's just better overall. There might be that experience out there that they could have got for that same money. So yeah, we just need more content creators out there that are positive about AMD. we need to change this. We need to change this big time. You know what I mean? You guys don't want the prices for NVIDIA to be high. We have to change this. So, all right, my friends, if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.